Well, my biggest lesson, 17 years in business, will be. I'm not sure if there's a particular one that I would say is the biggest, but we have a couple. But I think one of them will be the fact that being an entrepreneur and wanting to do business at the highest level means you need to have a tough skin, means you need to be ready to hear the most unbelievable things about you. You need to be prepared for attacks, you need to be prepared for a lot, and I think sometimes some of us, when we didn't start out figuring that pattern. I didn't start business figuring out that one day I'm gonna go viral over how much I charge mentees for a year coaching program, and that would then lead to a spiral of fake news that would lead to panic with customers. I didn't sign up for that 17 years ago when I was starting, right? Where was social media when we even started? But I think in 17 years of doing business, that I'm realizing, employees, you're gonna have issues. Customers, you're gonna have issues. Partners, you're gonna have issues. Regulators, government officials, you're gonna have issues. And now I understand why when you look at some role models in the business space and you read about them and you see so many negative stuff, as you age, some things will just start rubbing off for you. And I think there's that innocence when your business is still young. There's still that everybody kind of like you. They see that you're able to manage things. But as soon as customers runs into thousands, project runs into tens and hundreds, there's just no way that things you didn't plan for, perception you didn't plan for, will begin to occur. So that would be my lesson. But the flip side is that nothing is impossible in terms of how big, how great. Nothing is impossible. I'm looking at this company that started just with $10, 1,000 Nigerian naira 17 years ago. I registered the company. We started bulk SMS business. In fact, we started bulk SMS before registering. And that bulk SMS evolved by 2015 into digital. It has become a digital marketing firm. We help companies sell their businesses on social media, email marketing, and SMS marketing. We're the major company, multinationals, presidential candidates were using. We had the largest phone number database in Nigeria at that time, the largest email database. So irrespective of which party you belong to, you are our customer, because people who you eventually give the job to will have to still bring it to us because we're the main brand at that time. And so thinking that 10 years ago we then evolved into real estate and we're going to be here is humbling, really, really humbling. And so I think those are the two flip sides, to that. Okay. Next question. Gtext has built a legacy over 17 years. How do you intend to protect that legacy and the trust of your early and loyal investors? Well, I think, first of all, I would say we've been blessed with some amazing, unbelievable investors. Honestly, when I look at some of our investors, I just be like, do human beings like this exist? Now, we've also had some, to be honest with you, some challenging people who call themselves customers. We've had, or investors, we've had, oh boy. So we've had it both extremes. So, but my business is more with those who trust us, who remain loyal, who continue. I was one of our old customers in our real estate business very early on. Today, yesterday was his birthday, and we got talking, happy birthday and all that. And I was like, okay, so what birthday gift should we give you? He said, I want to be living with you in Houston, and we laughed over it. And this is a client over and over again. I'd had to, if at some point I'd had to ask us to send him, because early on when we went into real estate, now when we're doing digital marketing, we're good, but real estate has a high level of distrust, right? It's like pastoring in Nigeria or politics in Nigeria. Incidentally, politics is the biggest business in Nigeria. If you see it as a business, pastoring as well. But maybe banking before real estate. But real estate is also that top level of high level of distrust. So very early on in the real estate, we started experiencing, despite the level of transparency we brought into the industry, high level of distrust. I remember the first one was our general manager then was to take some client for inspection. Now the surveyor had maybe his vehicle documents were not complete, so is he IVO or something? A particular agency stopped him and then they towed his car. So our general manager had to, then we used to have a WhatsApp group where we put all our clients and everybody could track, again for transparency. In fact, that was the end of WhatsApp group. And then one of those clients who was supposed to come, so the general manager messaged them and said, hey, we're so sorry, we have to postpone this allocation because our surveyor car document was not intact, and the vehicular agency had to tow his car. And guess what the customer went to put in the group? Gtext, is selling land with fake document, and their surveyor has just been arrested. Oh boy. The WhatsApp group exploded. I mean, hey, every attempt to explain that no, it was his car that had an expired registration document. We've always known. Hey, in fact, that was one of the reasons why we had to let go the general manager, because it was hard to resolve. I think that case took over a year, right? It snowballed into many issues, Some of them started bringing police, soldier to the office, all manner, right? This was many years ago. This was, I think, 9 years ago or 8 years ago. So that period had taught me that, man, you're in a business where the trust level is so low, and it is what you can do is to constantly be as transparent as you can, constantly communicate as much as you can, constantly evolve, right? Evolve, go bigger and bigger and bigger, because sometimes, the only way, like I said, result terminating, so the only way, with some of these things, just your result terminating insult. That's all. So you have to constantly innovate and evolve and be 2-3 steps ahead. I remember it's quite also challenging doing business in Nigeria, extremely, because you are dealing with Omonile, you are dealing with government and regulatory issues, and so nothing is guaranteed, right? But you still have to know that even with that, because that experience taught me also that just prepare that there will always be PR crisis with this industry you are in. You could inherit the one happening to other, partners or colleagues in your industry. For example, we've noticed in the last few years, once there's a crisis with any other real estate sector, it affects us too, right? Just naturally affects us. The trust level is just transferred. And so we've gone through cycles of PR crisis that has just shown me that you can't avoid it, just be prepared when they happen, to put out your own facts there, be as transparent as you can. I remember one of that PR crisis we had, this was very much recent. This gentleman had reached out, he wanted refund, maybe he was burying a relative or whatever was his excuse. I said, well, the terms for the refund, you signed it, was that it was minus 30%. And, he said, no, I'm going to show you people hell. Yeah. And I think a staff had made a mistake where she was sending a mail to customers and did not blind copy. I'm sure you have, and then it was, so that mail had all the email of all customers. And this man went to copy every single customer to say, hey, these people said they have land in so-so place. No, it's just even, and unfortunately for us, so I give you an example, we have generic names for our estates. So we have Berry, we have Jasper. The real estate alone is more than 10 estates, different locations, Asaba, Abeokuta, Lagos, Abuja, and so on and so forth. So he just went to do a message and sent to all customers and said, their real estate is fake. They don't have any land anywhere. One thing. And of course, another crisis. And then he continued. Almost every month he's dropping another story and then another story. And remember, trust level is low. Okay? And this happened to be a land where the seller was a military person. Everything checks out. The CFO was in his name. And when a land has a CFO, this was in a property in Asaba, when you buy it, the transfer of ownership is done through deed of assignment and a survey. Okay, and again, there's ignorance in our sector. And so a lot of people don't even know how it works. So this guy, and also another person was then challenging because it's a whole large expanse of land. We bought a portion. But there's somebody else challenging the ownership with this particular military colonel, and then took him to court. And this guy took the court document and said, see, the court document it shows it's also colonel, of course, whose name is on the CFO. It's a larger expanse of land. But as was this person, see, even on the court document, it didn't show Gtext's name. So they don't own the land. But nobody says, did the Connors claim he didn't sell land to us? Who will allow anybody to put signage on their land when it's not theirs and all of that? Right? If two parties have issues, they will resolve it. Our lawyers are available. If it eventually becomes a case which is rare for him to lose because the CFO is in his name. But this guy carried the story and made a whole issue. And of course, we've been through those circles over and over again. But for me, I've learned over time, just do things right. When you do things right, 1, your conscience is clear. 2, the law is on your side. Okay? And so, it doesn't matter what people do, you're solid. And I think that has been helpful. And for us as a company to continue to build trust is to be transparent, to be vulnerable, share things, open up, talk to our investors, the ones who really believe will believe. Those who don't believe have already made up their mind before anything happened, really. So there's nothing you can really do. But we have continued to just be as transparent as we can. Even my life is sometimes excessively transparent, right? Excessively so open. You know which country I am in. You know what I'm doing. All that is part of just showing people we're here. You know that we expand globally. We are here. We built a brand. We can't hide. We can't go anywhere. And by being lucky to have started business at the age of 17, and then of course 5 years later then registered it and so on and so forth, one knows that you have to build something that will last, because you still have another 40 to 80 years to go if God allows you to live to 120. And so you want to build something that lasts. It's not even a function of money for me anymore. It's a function of legacy. It's a function of what will that name stand for. Even when one is gone, what will the name stand for? So for us, yes, that's what this is all about. And we're happy that we have a larger chunk. I was sharing with somebody recently, say, a few of your clients were complaining about they don't want to pay development levy, And I said, well, we have over 3,000 customers. And I can assure you a few of my clients that you're talking about, you will not find 50, right, out of over 3,000. And even this 50, majority has been refunded. When some of them say, oh, I'm not interested in paying, okay, you want your money back. And so, but people can keep repeating something over and over again. You can exaggerate things. And so, for me, I've been encouraged by the story of Jesus, even with employees. Sometimes people are like, why do you invest so much in your employees? Many of them will go and say, yeah, but just do the numbers. Every 12 disciples Jesus had, one was a Judas. So, and all of us will eventually realize that we're way more lucky than Jesus, right? Because most of us don't have 1 in 12. Some of us is 1 in 200, 1 in 300. So you're way much lucky. But you must keep being transparent with your investors. Keep communicating the best way you can. But at our level, because we are no longer that small organization, there's no way the founder of the company, and I'm no longer even involved in day-to-day running of the business anymore. I'm just an investor like other investors as well. And so there's no way I personally can communicate with over 3,000 customers, right? We have had to, we have a group CEO, we have MDs for each subsidiaries, now over 10 subsidiaries, we have different customer service team, and we just appeal to customers to respect whoever is talking to them. Person may not be Stephen Akintayo, person may not even be as eloquent as Stephen Akintayo, may not even be as effective it's a process and it keeps getting better over time, but we have to find a way to respect those that are talking to us on behalf of the company. One of the most talked about issue, development levy. So when some of our estates, remember 10 years ago we expanded into real estate, so when we started, you don't have it all figured out. At first, let's just sell land. And later we realized that if you're just selling land, so for example, you buy 10 acres, right? The family that sells 10 acres sell to you sometimes 600 square meter per plot. Some sell 400, some sell 450, some sell 500, depending on the state you are in. In fact, some sell more than 600, depending on which state. And we're in, more than 10 states, I think, now in Nigeria alone, aside Dubai, UK, and US. And what we then notice is that when they sell this plot, there's no internal road. right? So how will I move from my plot to the next person's plot? Which road? And Lekki and a few other parts of Lagos, some of us hate the road network, we hate, and it was because of things like this. People were just buying plots. It's later in future say shift, me I shift. So a few years into the business, we realized that we can't continue, because we bought it that way, we sold it that way. No, we needed to create internal road. We call it serviced plot, right? We said we needed to now figure out a way. We have to do roads, we have to fence this estate, because even when we left it like that, encroachment of Monile were coming to take it. And in some states in Nigeria as well, a governor can pass a place and see that this place looks developed, and then declare that he has put a cession on the land. He's taking over the land. The law empowers the governor to do that. Sometimes it's based on whether the place is developed or not. They just look at, okay, there won't be much noise here. It's just bush. Let's take over. So we knew that we need to start fencing. We need to start doing, we need to start putting security men and women physically on site to protect this investment that people have done with us. And so conversation around development levy, and we're lucky that early on we had written on the documents to say we can't figure out how much is development levy yet, but when the time comes, it will be subject to inflation and the cost of building. But I think about 5 years ago plus, we started those fence work on some of those sites, and at that point we came up with the first development levy, which was then supposed to be, I'm not too sure whether it was 1 million naira or 2.5 at that time, but also stated that if you don't pay now, it will still be subject to future inflation, variation and all that. So you have people who bought land when it was 1.5 million, and that time cement was barely 1,300, 1,200. Today cement is 10,000. Iron rod that used to be 600 is now going for 1.2, 1.3. Sand, we used to buy sand then, less 18,000 per trip, right? Now you're looking at 120,000 to 200,000. All of that has gone up. So, of course, there were notifications over and over again. In fact, I remember we still interviewed a client who was confirmed that she even told our staff to say, stop sending me mail on the development levy. And we started doing that because when we saw how Naira moved from 190, right, some years ago, boom, 400 and something, and now boom, 1,600, we had to keep saying, this thing won't come down. You need to pay. And of course, the price moved up as well. From our development levy used to be, like I said, early $1 million or so. Now it's 12.5 million. So you have people saying, no, it was 4.5, 3 years ago or 2 years ago. Why will it move to that part? It's not our fault, right? We still had this week the chairman of BUA explaining how even in one of his cement factories, gas used to be 5 billion and has just jumped up to 15 billion times 3. And these are what we were seeing in cost of, people. Yes, we drag you here and there. I bought the land for X. You can't tell me the price should be X. But I wish these things are in our control. I really wish we have power over it. I wish it were. I wish. Sometimes I always say this, that if only you know me and what I stand for. Arguably, no real estate company that is into land business in Nigeria has done the kind of refund we've done, right? In fact, we target insult money in our office. And for us, it's just to keep a good name, just refund, keep a good name, to keep a good name. But At some point, you realize people then abuse these things, right? There are contracts that has been signed. There are things, you signed with a company. And because the chairman of the company is famous, right? Every time the conversation is, we're going to call you out on social media. We're going to drag you. We're going to do this. And I think I've argued this, that reputation is mine. It's my reputation, not yours. And the last time I checked, my reputation is very intact. I've argued also, and this is very important, that integrity is not what you do to show off. Integrity is what you do even when you know that nobody will discover it. Nobody rather will discover that you have cut corners or you've done something wrong. That's integrity. What you do in the secret, doing the right thing in the secret, when if you had done the wrong thing, nobody will know. That's integrity, really. So it's not a lot of core values that makes us who we are. They're not seen. They're deep issues, and that's why those who know you, and they know what you stand for. And you shouldn't be bothered if you have a few people here and they're not happy. As long as you know you're doing the right thing. The right thing is the right thing. And I think what we've done also, just to be fair to customers, to now say, hey, you don't agree, we can refund you. Just give us a timeline, return the document we sent to you. I think that's also fair. That's just having a human face. I can say also that we now have a new software we're working on. It's a secondary marketplace. It's a totally different company on its own that will now be accepting people to be able to sell their properties, whether they finish paying or they've not finished paying. Right? They'll be able to sell their properties on this secondary market, so that, hey, you bought a land for 1.5, you are aware that the value is gone up to maybe 30 million. You want to get a little bit more from it. You can trade it down and say, okay, well, hey, I'm willing to trade this for 5 million so that I make some money. It's also an intervention we're working on. But to be honest, for us, we have to be sincere about the fact that we've had to notify. At some point, we say, look, if you don't pay within certain times, you don't have land with us. Send us our document and we'll refund your money. There are people who, yes, that's a harsh decision, but we also don't want to be deceiving people. One of our estates, for example, 5 acres was taken away for Coastal Road. 5 acres. We still had to say we are keeping the entire place for making sure we would lose that 5 acre. Our clients will still have land there. But what happened is we have sand field, we've done interlocking, we've done fence. We've lost all that, now. So we have to redo fencing. We have to sand field all over again. In fact, the sand field is now higher because the coastal road is way higher. And if we don't do it on time as well, we can lose the entire place. Right? They can come on with the government, come on another project and say they have some project somewhere. And for us, the energy is, even the 5 acre, we've not been compensated. My argument is always, do I start dragging government or do I find a solution and move on? Because the energy to start dragging and going on social media, going on TV, oh, we lost 5 acre, oh, the government has not compensated us, oh, we've even found field they took her and stuff. That energy, I can use it to develop the place. And that's my approach oftentimes to business. And yeah. Yes, so the 5 million referral fee was also as another intervention. Say, hey, you are owing development levy. You could refer a new customer to us, and typically we even give commission on new customers anyway. So, and we can just say, hey, you refer somebody to us. We'll just and we said, hey, give us referral up to 10 people, 20 people, because not all those you refer will eventually buy. But even if it's 1 or 2 that decide to buy, we dedicated 5 million towards paying your development levy, because to be honest, some people are going through some financial challenges and are really struggling to be able to pay those things, and I really empathize and I understand really, and for us as a company, as management, as what's funny in my case is that I'm in the middle, because I founded the business, but I don't no longer run it day to day. I'm an investor, and I'm also, the rule applies to me as well, right? The properties I bought from Gtext as well, I'm also subjected to pay development levy and pay all these things. So it's not a case where certain rules doesn't apply. I'm the largest investor in the company, and the rule applied to me as well. But we hope that this referral concept, will help in a great way to help as many people who are in that position. Yes. For clients who are still uncertain or financial constrained, what additional relief is Gtext offering during this anniversary period? Well, there's a lot of opportunity to roll out during this anniversary period. For example, we have a 25% discount on our land for anyone investing this season. That exists. We're also giving some discount also on the development levy, during this 17th anniversary celebration. So there are a few here and there, discount that has been offered, and you can reach out to the office and they will tell you. For those particularly in diaspora, what innovation is in place to ensure transparency, to give them peace of mind that their property is intact? So I know there's a press conference coming up by management of Gtext soon. But right now, you'll be glad to know every single customer who bought land from Gtext Land. We have a new technology using Google Earth. And what it's doing is it allows you to see your land. So all this issue of they don't have land, there's no land, they didn't do physical allocation. I laugh over those conversations, because once they send you a deed of assignment and your survey is the map of the land. It's just ignorance here and there. But we've decided to have a map where now you log into the app and you can zoom into your land. And this is Google Earth, so it's not lying. You show your specific 400 square meter, you see the land itself. And we feel this will also is an innovation that will increase the level of trust and transparency. Like I said earlier, also the new company that is being launched soon, that will also is a secondary market company. It's not just for Gtext. Different real estate companies are able to come and sell their properties, and customers can come on the platform and all of that. So it's something unique that we think will enhance trust, and because this is an industry problem. So we believe that this new platform will address this problem beyond just our own company. It's just going to be a major solution for even other real estate companies as well. So you've stepped back from day-to-day operation. Can you clarify your current role and who is now responsible for operational decisions? Well, that happened 2 years ago. So 2 years ago, I stepped back from being the group CEO. And sometimes people see quotes call me group CEO, because we did a lot of media tours with our new group CEO, Mr. Rana Ijaz, who operates from Dubai and sometimes also in Germany. And he visits Nigeria time to time. In fact, he has done more than 2 trips already to Nigeria. Very important why we did that was because we are now, all these years we've been bootstrapping this company for 17 years. And we knew that we needed to start getting institutional funding. So he's worked with Deloitte and a lot of these bigger corporations. And and needed to come in and restructure the business so that we're positioned for institutional funding. So in the next 2-3 years, you will see, next 5 to 10 years, you will see massive growth. And that because we are now able to access institutional funds. It's no longer just bootstrapping with our own sales and my own personal investment to the company. And that's why we brought him. But what we also did was to now divide the entire company. We now have about 10 subsidiaries, and each subsidiary has its own MD, has its own workers, has its own team members who work there, customer care, media, and all of that. So that way, it's an agile company, and there are people running day to day. And attached to this is the profile of the group CEO, Mr. Rana Ijaz. We also have the new MD of Gtext Homes and Gtext Farm, which is Bukola Lukon. She doubled as the group head of operations. So Bukola Lukon is the assistant to Mr. Rana Ijaz. So she has 3 roles. And she's been with us for over 9 years now. And that's the beauty of a lot of the leaders. They've been in the system for a long time, so they know the business, they know all the facts. We have Farouk Usman, who was recently moved from Gtext Home to Gvest as the new head of Gvest. Gvest is a cooperative, digital cooperative in Nigeria, and is a SEC-filed investment company in the US. And so Gvest is there. We also then have Gtext Land, in person of Shola, who recently moved into that role and has been doing well. He too has grown through the ranks over the years in running that. We have Gtext Suit. Gtext Suit handles our secondary market business. So sometimes you hear people say, Gtext doesn't have, hasn't built houses. That's not true. What we've done is to have different, in our Nigerian business, to have different, how do I call it, segmentation. So we have mini estate here and there. I mean, we sold out one recently in Shogotedo. It was just 5 units. We have about 5 units as well in Life Camp. In Abuja, we're selling right now, but they're not green and smart. So different value proposition. So we have those mini estate, 5 units here, 10 units there, 2 units there, and here and there. But they are secondary market. They're purely, we finish building, then we sell it, right? At the right price point, no pressure. Sell at the right price point we're okay with. Same in Dubai. We do massive investment in Dubai. People buy from us in Dubai. We buy and rent, and have that. So Mrs. Akintayo handles both Dubai arm and Nigeria arm when it comes to secondary market. We also have in the leadership, Jessica Elebio, who handles Gtext and Associates, is a subsidiary in charge of partnerships, right? So people will sell properties for us. That's the person who is in charge. We have Mr. Glory Okodua in charge of sponsorship events and corporate partnerships. We have Mr. Onifade, who is in charge of activations and coming in as the new MD for our new subsidiary, which is an app that will help for people who want to sell, you want to trade your property with Gtext or any other real estate company. So we have those huge different leadership, of course, head of legal, head of process, new head of finance. It's a very, very well structured system with head of legal, and you have all these, leaders who run different arm of the organization. And my argument is Gtext is one of the most structured real estate firm you will find. It's not a one-man business, it's not. Even my wife recently became an MD, and it's just of an arm. She's not even next to me in ranking. I happen to be the chairman, and that's more of my work now is mentorship, investment. I have to keep investing, hoping to get returns, providing guidance, advice, support, institutional knowledge, and things like that. For me, the next phase is investing in new businesses, expanding new ventures. We're going to movies. We're going to new companies that we're going to be buying. So venture capitalism. We now have a registered venture capital company and a private equity firm that will be buying a lot of companies in the US. So there's a huge expansion we're doing as we speak, but some of it we're waiting till, we're not rushing, publicizing some things going on at the moment. But yeah, those are, where I am, and mentorship. I'm big on supporting African businesses and see how more businesses we can raise and help. And that's where I am. Okay. Well, I think the new leadership is, so let me say I have absolute confidence in our leadership. These are people who are part of growing this business, and I trust them. Again, they may not be as charismatic as I am. They may not be as vocal as I am. They may not be comfortable on TV, on radio, on media. And I think they are working their way. Mind you, I've been doing this for years. I started public speaking in secondary school. So it's a lot easier. But I know that our team are working their way into that. We now have Gtext Media as well, which Farouk Usman is the MD. And with Gtext Media, we are evolving a new media and PR firm. And I'm sure that, that will evolve into getting more of our management team being out there. But I think for one of the things we instituted last year, by the board, and we have a huge advisory board. So, for example, our land business, Michael Kiro is the chairman of the land business. He runs. We don't buy any land without him vetting it, and so many things like that. We have different lawyers, who also work with us. We have, every subsidiary has its own board. And every quarter, the board reviews what they are doing. And it's a strong corporate governance. But I know that also one of the things that started last year or 2 years ago was doing monthly webinars with customers. I think that has to be improved to make sure that one way or the other is advertised early and customers show up. And our MDs are able to answer the questions, allow people to express themselves and listen to them and reassure them. But I think some of the issue at the moment is not even much of reassurance. It's much of going viral for $18,000 and then some people then trying to hide under that to spread a lot of fake news that are not real, incite customers against the organization, create panic and fear. And they've done it with banks. Even just a few days ago, CBN is having to assure the public about some banks, because once anybody just come and say, well, this bank is about to fold up, people believe. Someone comes there and say, Gtext is about to crumble, or Stephen Akintayo is a scam. The advent of social media, anything anybody throws out there is law. Whether it's vetted, whether there's evidence or not. It's just the jungle that we're in. But I can assure you that one of the things that we as representative of our investors are doing, and as a major investor and shareholder of the company, is to say all MDs have to communicate more. You have to communicate more. You have to communicate more, and I think we're going to be seeing more of that in the next coming years. You're going to be seeing very robust. But there's a lot that has been done so far. I think almost every 6 months there's a media tour that the MDs do on radio, on TV. But you will see a lot more of push of the brand of the MDs coming out and speaking up, so that, because we need to separate people, and a lot of people know, maybe some of the old clients, a lot of people know there's a difference between Stephen Akintayo brand and the Gtext brand, right? Gtext is a company, he's a major shareholder, but he's not the only investor, right? Then there's him, Stephen Akintayo, so much of our foundation, because of our charity work, so much of our projects, so much of what we do. Even our foundation MDs, Mr. Akintayo, and there's so much we do: charity, training, mentorship, conferences, globally, right? Authoring books and speaking engagements and so on and so forth. So there are two different entities, but sometimes you want to drag, and I think it's an African thing, you drag the founder into it, make it look. Sometimes when people even talk, you think that they paid money to Stephen Akintayo's personal account. It's a company, registered organization, structured with leadership that runs it. But I guess it's an African, it's a mentality, is there, it's how we see things, and sometimes it's difficult for us to separate the two. And so if you are in that context and you separate the two, and we had no choice but to separate the two. We're doing business in Dubai, we just opened Doha, US, UK. We cannot but separate the two. We cannot make the two the same. Even if we want to, we have to separate. Okay? So that's that about that. Well, as we move into our 18th year, again, like I said, Gtext Holdings is not just a real estate company. It's way bigger than that. But for our real estate, which is one of our biggest, I think from the 18th year, like I said, there is a lot of institutional funding coming in the next few years that will help us to accelerate a lot faster. What we have had to do is to make sure that we bought land, we secure the land, and in a way that we didn't have to take loan. I was sharing this with one of my spiritual mentor, and because he was worried, oh, you guys have just buying land everywhere. What's the strategy? When I was done, he said, oh, you're a lot smarter than I initially thought. Okay. And I said to him, it's a sustainable model, right? The scarcest commodity in Nigeria in the next few years is the land. It's not the house, it's the land. And what people realize is that they've wasted too many land, because you build bungalow and 1 story in a place where you could have done 10 story or 5 story or 3 story or 5, 10 or even higher. Because of the population bulge, we're currently 220 million. We're going to 400 million in the next 20 years. The land isn't appreciating. Okay? So if you buy land and you keep it, because you're doing land banking, right, a few years from now, you will get way more value, because when you're now building houses, the place will have developed. And instead of just building just anyhow kind of houses, you're able to build houses for multiple occupancies where you are really, really maximizing the land. And we've seen this happen with some of our estate, that if we had rushed to build, in fact, we have one of our estate, the first set was just 1 story. And it was because now we're realizing, oh, it was a mistake. Now it's more of, okay, we're doing minimum, 2-3 floors, and then we want to keep going higher and higher as we're going, because we needed to maximize the land. Dangote refinery has started, Seaport has started, housing deficit is huge in that place. So for us, the wisdom was buy the land, secure it. Over time, even if you don't have money to build, you can do joint venture. Somebody can come, you do joint venture with them. Give them land, they build school. Give them land, they build more. Give them land, they come and even build a house. And you share the money. But the critical thing is securing the land. And so we were intentional, because when we looked at the inflation that was going on, the variation, the instability in currency, we have many of our colleagues going through tougher times than we are going through. The entire real estate companies or real estate industry is going through a really tough time because of this issue of, where you can plan that you're going to use 50 million to build a particular house, and the next thing you need 120 to build it. And so that has created a major issue. Now, alternatives, you could go take loan, high interest rate, not being sure if COVID could happen or anything can happen and put us into big trouble. And we just didn't want that. We wanted something sustainable. So we focused in Nigeria more on land. Now in Dubai, strictly houses. We're not even saying land. In the US, both land and houses. In the UK, strictly houses. And that was a good move, because we are one of the most internationally expanded companies. A lot of other people are joining us now, and that's okay. But that happened during that period, because it was either you want to join the bandwagon, you just to prove a point. Okay, we're building houses, right? Or you expand. So we move from just being in Lagos and maybe Ibadan, right, to Asaba, massive expansion, Abuja, and the eastern parts of the country, and many other states, and then multiple locations, even where the states we are in, and we think that has been a fantastic, clever, smart move, one of the best moves we've made, because we wouldn't have grown this fast if we were not that strategic. And we thank God for that wisdom. We thank God for that wisdom, and so it's helped us to really be solid. I mean, I'm not sure we'll be where we are today if not for those decisions, and it's turned out to be great. So going forward is easy now as the economy stabilizes for the Nigerian arm to start building houses. Here in the US is good news all the way. Our strategy turned out to even be way better than we thought of in the US, really. I won't go into details, but oh boy, in the next 24 months to 5 years, we're in for a great time here in the US with our expansion. So we thank God for that. We're really, really grateful for that. Well, for the rest of Gtext Holdings, it's massive expansion. So what we are doing is we're creating an ecosystem, right? What are the other things that complement each other? If you're doing real estate, you need media, you need PR. So hence Gtext Media Revival. It's existed, but we just had to revive it. Education is another major ecosystem that we're exploring. Entertainment is another ecosystem. So this year we're going to be doing 3 YouTube series. One by a gentleman called Victor Idem, one by a son of the prophet who is a Christian content creator, and his own YouTube series we told that line of a Christian content creator. We also have one other one by a gentleman called Woye, who used to work with us, and then that would translate into movies, hopefully into the next year. There are also plans to just look at other complementary aspects, like, our Greek business is really, we're positioning to be one of the biggest packagers and retailers of rice. You're going to be seeing us pushing out so much of rice and other kind of grains and stuff like that in the agri sector. We're working, of course, on agrotourism and a few other things that are coming up. But there's so much. But you'll soon be seeing them. God will spare our lives. So Gtext expanding its footprint in the United States. What are the goals of international expansion, and how does it benefit your Nigerian and diaspora client? Very good question. This is a very good question, because I've argued this over time that the biggest beneficiary for our international expansion is still going to be Nigeria. And I'll tell you why. Because we need foreign direct investment for a lot of what we want to do in Nigeria, because we're not just a real estate company in terms of what we're trying. It's a whole ecosystem, movies, entertainment, because everything, hospitality, hospitals, everything is on land, right? So once you have the land, there's nothing you can build on it. There's no industry you can explore when you have the land. And so for us, the vision is to say, how do we navigate around that, right? How do we navigate around that? And so as we expand in the US, it positions us to be able to repatriate our profit back to Nigeria and, start massive expansion. It also helps us to be able to take, if anybody is investing with us, okay, you know what? I'm willing to take this risk again, with this thing you are doing in Nigeria, since you're passionate about it. But do you have assets in the US? I don't trust your judiciary system in Nigeria, right? But we can have your US assets, right, as a guarantee for what we're giving you for your Nigeria expansion. That is what we're working on. Okay, and it's working. We're getting a lot of positive interest. And I can assure you, in the next 5 years, it's a whole different conversation. You watch this video and you remember I said this. And we're excited about that. Really, really excited about that. As someone who mentored many entrepreneurs, what does mentorship play in the journey, and how GT has continued to empower entrepreneurs? Well, mentorship is something very critical to entrepreneurship. If you're really going to scale your business, somebody has to mentor you. I tell people that mentorship is the only shortcut to growth in business that I know of. It's the only shortcut. And sometimes people say maybe wrong words are being used, coaching instead of mentorship. So mentorship, and a lot of people don't know the difference. Coaching is bringing out what is on your inside. So when you do coaching sessions, you the coach, you're putting between 10 to 20% and pulling out 80%. That's why sometimes people get pissed off with coaching, because it's like you've come to meet a coach to give you an answer, but the coach is telling you, what do you think is the answer? So particularly for Africans, we get frustrated with that. Hence mentorship. In mentorship is 50-50. The person mentoring you is bringing 50% of the solution, and is also expecting you to bring 50% of the solution, particularly in the area of actions and taking steps on what is advising you on and guiding you about. So God has helped me to raise, hundreds of mentees. Some paid, some served in exchange for. We've given so many. January this year, we gave 40 people free mentorship. Now, for even this anniversary, we're giving another 17 businesses. But it's usually for businesses that at least have done over $100,000 in annual turnover, because the goal is just turn them to multi-million-dollar business. And we have so many testimonies. And more than 50% of those mentees are not based in Nigeria. So when the story of, he's charging $18,000 busted, a lot of my mentees kept explaining to say, we are not based in Nigeria. So they're not even Nigerians. I have some are in Cameroon. I have a huge number of my mentees in Cameroon, Ghanaians, those who are even Africans. Right? Some are Nigerians, but they don't live in Nigeria, in Canada, the US, the UK. And so the whole concept, the whole argument, the whole narrative was just not necessary. I've not lived in Nigeria for the last 5 years. I come to Nigeria to check the investments we have. I come see family members, but I lived in Dubai 3 years. I'm now based in the US, but I still visit Nigeria, come do conferences. It's my home. I'm from Nigeria. But you can't limit the denomination I charge and how I charge based on the fact that I'm a Nigerian. So even though I don't live in Nigeria, I must charge everything Nigerian. It was just really ridiculous. Plus, it was a year charge. And even if I charge way more than that, $18,000 wasn't for poor people to start with. A poor person can't afford $18,000. So, twisting the narrative, creating anger. Some people claim, some people are behind it. Well, how do I put this? There's a reason I'm called the ego. So if somebody is behind it, be it competitor, be it politicians, I don't care. If you know anything about the ego bird, it's fly better in the storm. Okay? And that's characterized my life. The bigger the storm, the bigger the flight. The bigger the storm, the bigger the flight. So I can watch out. That's all I would say. All I would say is just watch out. Right? There's a bigger flight. Bigger. Right? Yeah. So bigger. That's all I can say. There's some things you just, at this point, I just want to keep quiet on some things. But bigger, shocking flight. As the Lord liveth. Yeah. So, but what is important is those we've mentored, the results that terminating Southern. A lot of testimonies are out there. If you check them, you'll see them. By different mentees and sharing their stories and the impact of the mentorship. So I'm happy about that. I'm more concerned about the results than anything else, right? My message for all old and new investors is that keep faith in us. First of all, I want to say thank you, right? Thank you for believing in this vision. We have an amazing team of resilient investors. With the attack we faced in the last 3 weeks or so, you will have thought that by now, for a company that has thousands of investors, you would think that at least, let's say 10% of our investors will have been panicking, At least that's 300 plus investors. And as much as we have a few, but when our team even did the research, we saw that a few of those we even are no longer our customers. They are people that have been fully refunded. I think we only had 3 customers who said they wanted refund in the course of this whole 18K saga. And that's huge when you have over 3,000 customers. So that tells you that the faith, the belief, I don't know where you guys get it from, because to be honest, sometimes I myself wonder at the trust, and it puts a lot of pressure on me, right? A lot of pressure. I've said it to our management team. I said, look, these people believe in us. Why, I sometimes don't understand. Why, I don't understand. Right? But I want to say thank you. Whatever you see in us, I can only say thank you. God will bless you. But keep faith. And I can assure you, this is a brand you've been proud of. I don't know when you join us, whoever is watching this. But you have much things to be proud of. You look back, the next 5, 10, 20 years from now and say, I knew I was right. I knew I was right. I knew I was betting against the right company. Now I'm here in Harvard and we're reviewing different companies. And in fact, the one we just reviewed tonight with my living roommates, one of my living roommates said, I had the opportunity to invest in this company when the valuation was just $200 million. And the company, he said he didn't believe in the company. The company went on to have a valuation of $50 billion. I mean, let me put it this way. If this guy, and he had the money, so it wasn't about the money. If he had put in just $100,000 and sold it when the valuation had hit 50 billion, right? It simply means that his $100,000 will have been worth over $10 million. That's insane. So Gtext is one of those companies that is worth having faith in. Listen, aside public speaking, writing books, podcasts, consulting, mentorship, and our foundation work, I've not done anything outside of this. Right? That's how much faith I have in it. Most people do not know that my commission for the last 10 years have not been withdrawn, running to billions. We kept putting it back into the business. I've loaned this company money over. I'm not going to do that if I don't believe in it. Oh Lord, I so believe in this company. Okay. I can assure you, okay, you will be proud that you kept faith with us. And I once again want to thank you all. Happy 17th year anniversary, old and new customers alike. Please reach out to the team for all the anniversary opportunities that you can leverage on, the discounts out there and all of that. Please reach out to the team, and they have so much in store for you. And happy anniversary to us. So there's a praise going on today. Try and join if you're an investor. Even if you're not yet an investor, you want to be one day, or just like us, join. I think it's 1 p.m. Central Standard Time. That should be 1 p.m. Central Standard Time. If we put that in Eastern, if we put that in CST, that's Houston time, that would be I think 7 a.m. in the morning. So you can join that, and let's BJ Sachs gonna just celebrate God's faithfulness for 17 years. No, we've been so 17 years and standing with all that the Son of Man have seen in the course of doing business. God has been faithful. I wish I would be Nigeria. My dancing shoe would have been bigger, but I'll be joining you in the spirit. I will be in class at the time, but once I'm done with my lectures in Harvard, I will be joining, and I'll be watching the praise as well, afterwards. But happy anniversary to all of us. Thank you for doing business with us. I appreciate you. We don't take you for granted in any way, shape or form. If some of you have felt that way, I can assure you that the management is working on correcting that and to be very much in your face. And I've said it to them over and over again. Enough of Stephen Akintayo's face. Your face should come out. Talk to your people. They're your customers. If you guys don't do business with us, these people won't have pay. They won't be able to feed their family. They won't be able to take care of themselves. So the least anybody who work with us can do to our customers is communicate over and over again. And I think our management understand that, and they're going to be doing much of that going forward. Thank you, and God bless you. Happy anniversary. Bye-bye.